since time immemorial. We honour the presence of the ancestors of this land, whose irrepressible spirituality flows through all creation. We acknowledge with gratitude that we share this land today and sorrowfully acknowledge the historical as well as intergenerational costs of that sharing. We would also like to acknowledge our hope and belief that we are moving to a place of equity, justice and partnership together for the future.
Thank you, Sue. Good morning, everyone. How are you going? Now, is there... yeah, that's better, that's better. I didn't want to push it too hard too early. But Lockie's, you know, one of the organisers. He can poke and prod and do whatever he likes. Yeah, as everyone rolls in, is there anyone here just for the day? Like day... it's your first visit? Well, big welcome. Thank you for turning up for day 3. It's hard to believe. I find at this point in conferences, it's sort of, you know, you come on the first day and there's great vision and there's a grand mountain that we're going to climb together, and then you get to the end of day 2 and all of a sudden you're going, oh God, people are going home and it's finishing. So, yeah, really enjoyed today. There's some great talks planned. To those of you who have joined us, we've had a fantastic few days so far. To all the people who have been watching online and watching on the replays, big welcome to you for day 3 of APC 2023. Just a quick little wrap. So much went on yesterday. There were so many touch points of permaculture's reach. The legs of the octopus were heading out in all sorts of corners of community, from the importance of accredited training to the wonderful community-based stories that we heard here in the FIG through Brigida and Anne Marie, and then we opened up the lens and looked at Broadacre. We went back to the future scenarios. I caught a little bit of that. But there was a wonderful crowd up there for that. We drew up information like a wicking bed. Did anyone go to the wicking bed class? Yeah. There's lots of great stuff happening in wicking. We sussed out the view from a green roof. We looked at fire. We got into the soil. And one thing we did do in here was we articulated and activated great conversations of hope. And I think one of the interesting things that always resonates with me, and particularly with people coming into activism or working in activism, the most important thing we need to do is make sure that we separate us from the issue. And any person, no one has any right to direct it personally. And we always need to step away and say, oh, now let's go back to the point here. Let's go back to the issue. And I talk about this with a lot of youth when I'm talking to youth, that, you know, don't take it like there's that separation that we need. And we covered off on some beautiful aspects of that conversation. And then, of course, we had the wonderful Walter Jenny. And big thanks to all of you for the cosmological assistance. Once I moved here into the crowd and asked for your energy and focus, suddenly the computer turned on. And Walter joined us only to suffer at the hands of, as Jeff so eloquently put it, the weakest link in the system, and the computer went down when we were all in that perfect lean forward moment of here's the solutions. He'd painted a fairly solid reality of 50 years of banging the food futures message against the wall, and we were ready. And unfortunately, I think that's going to be available. Yeah. Oh, I actually have organised a couple of buses. I thought we'll just drive over to Walters, but it just during the first break, we'll just go over and say, right, give us the money, give us the gold. We want some answers. And of course, we went on last night to the Cultural Compost Theatre, which again, where is that unit? Where is that Jasper unit? Wherever he is, there he is. What a fantastic way to kick off any evening. Thank you, Jasper. You just cracked me up. Deluxe. And then all the awards, to everyone that received awards, big congratulations. And of course, to the Elders Awards, big congratulations. I must say, to see an arc like this, closing the circle between all of us, the arc of the Elders, connecting the circle, that really, from where I was and from where we were sitting, that was a very special moment. And to all of the elders here, thank you for being here and being around all of the new people, all of the people getting their legs in permaculture, because that is one of the most powerful things that I've seen on the whole conference, and I really appreciated it. So I'm just going to call on Danny, who's going to say a little bit of housekeeping.
Yes, actually, we're going to hear about the quiz first. Do you want to pop on up for those who are able to come?
Sure. So tonight's the quiz. I'm going to say traditional quiz. Is something traditional when it gets to the third time? Yeah? Yes? No? Yes. All right. Our APC traditional, end of the APC quiz. So we are going to be, it's after dinner in the outdoor area. Won't go all night, so there'll be also time for chats around the fire. My prop. This is interactive. We want your questions. Quiz questions. This box will be out the front, in front of the notice board, in front of the little palm tree in a pot. You may have up to 2 questions each. No more than that. You've got an incentive to put in questions because you'll know the answer to at least 1 or 2 questions when it comes to the quiz. So we're trying to collect all good questions. The other thing we want is a few... We may not get to all the questions. Don't be upset if you don't. Last time we had way more than we needed. But please pop him in. The other thing we're looking for is just a few really funny photos that have been taken during the Convergence. So if you have a couple of a funny photo, we want you to email them to Brenna. The email address is here, but just quickly, it's brenna.quinlan@gmail.com. So if you've taken a funny photo, please email her before lunch. And we can't guarantee we'll use them all. But we will use some. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, good laugh. If you want to start thinking about who you want in your team and talking about that, that's great. And yeah, we'll see you in the outdoor area after dinner. We want answers on the front. So your question and your answer. Yep, thank you. Thanks for that.
Thank you. And I'll just throw to Rabina quickly.
Thank you for this opportunity. So myself and Robin Clayfield, after this event, on Wednesday and Thursday in Adelaide at the Joinery, running a social permaculture workshop, permaculture principles applied to social organisations, and we're both going to unpack our very rich toolkits and share them with you to be able to take back to your groups. So permaculture principles applied to social organisations for a whole intensive and fun 2 days. And if you can just make one day, please let us know. Also, Robin has a bookstall at the tail end of this foyer here, and come and check in with her. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to shout up to the back to see if we can get our sponsors slide up, otherwise we'll do that later. But I will verbally thank our sponsors so much. So the core group wanted to make this as financially viable as possible for you all to be here. And our sponsors allowed us to do some little cherries on top. So that was the green juice, the live streaming, so thank you for that, and yeah, many other little extras. So that was Green, Adelaide, Mount Barker District Council, Permaculture Victoria in particular, so thank you. We had lots of in-kind and other discounts for work, so Novatech and Tim, Felix and that crew, which is that beautiful stretch tent we have, the chai tent, the Earthworm Wheels project, Meliadora, and so many more. So can we give a big round of applause to our sponsors and supporters? My other notices for today are there were some leftovers from lunchtime. How good was that picnic lunch to mix us all up? There are some leftovers. They're on the veranda if you'd like to take them. But there are no leftovers from the Convergence. Lots of things are going to Food Bank and other organisations. We need to activate the worm again. The worm is feeling sleepy, so head on over, check the times and activate the worm. Over near the Olive, there's those books and produce. Thank you for those who brought those. I know Em and Lockie had boxes and boxes in their house. They don't want them back in their house. So please take home some books or grab some for the op shop if you can. We have some extra bags, those beautiful bags that were hand sewn. If you would like to buy another one, they were $10 for our bags and $3 for the patches. They'll be by the t-shirts if you'd like one of them. We're going to do a mini bump out at some point around lunchtime. Big day tomorrow. If you do want to come back again, you can't get enough and want to come back tomorrow and help bump out and chat to Nat. But otherwise, at some point, we might ask people to go get things like those signs and bunting from further afield. So it's all a bit concentrated for the crew tomorrow. Your name badges, like with everything planning, we thought a lot about everything. We hope you reuse them. You can buy magnets to put on the back so you can use them for years and years. The Monday night dinner and quiz is a ticketed event. I think lots of people have tickets. You'll have I don't know if it's green or yellow, but that sort of colour bead if you've got a ticket for Monday night. If you are not sure if you want to be on the wait list, go to the hub and they're going to see if there's any extra tickets. There may be, there may not. And month of permaculture, tomorrow, the Food Forest has their tour in the morning, and in the afternoon, if anyone wants to carpool from a little bit of one side of Adelaide to the other, down to the beautiful non-biased McLaren Vale Fleurieu region, you should come down there. Lot 50 is a gorgeous project bringing together revegetation and cultural healing, so there's a tour for that. And the closing later starts in here with Robin, but then we will go outside. We're going to get interactive in our closing. We're going to have a lovely heartfelt space as the sun sort of goes down over this beautiful venue. One program change, and it's only tiny. It's a venue change. So if you've got your program, that is a change for the Regenerate Our Future Permaculture in Schools at 12 o'clock. That's now in the Muntree Nursery over there. We'll have, David's, whose is that? Dan Palmer?
So David Holmgren's talk is now moved to the Pomegranate. It was in the Central Kakala, the marquee, but it's moved to the Pomegranate.
We will have some feedback forms for you at the end. We'll try and have some paper ones for those who want to do it that way at lunchtime. Otherwise, we'll have some QR codes at the hubs and we'll send it out afterwards. That feedback's going to be super valuable for us, and especially for the next APC, which we're not going to announce here because they're still open. So we've heard murmurings that lots of people are keen. If you are, go to Meg and Permaculture Australia. If you want to host, I recommend it. And just a last thank you for all your patience and forgiveness for all of us, myself included, and everyone for our hiccups and our trip-ups, and just thank you so much. Sorry? Oh, thanks. I've noticed mine. Right. I don't know if it's Costa or Lockie or Ego. Wonderful. Oh, lovely. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Danny. No humble pie required there. It's all going beautifully. I did want to make a mention to Kate and Claude, who are doing a great job with the children's festival, let's say. Again, there's a massive day ahead. We've got schools, we've got publishing, we've got permaculture for refugees, and of course we've got that Dan Palmer tribute. So yeah, look at the program and dive in and be frustrated like me to try and work out how to split yourself across 5 different talks. But now, our final keynote, and by no means the least. I was fortunate enough to be sharing accommodation with Ego the last couple of days, and last night I think I got pretty much the presentation personally. We locked horns for a couple of hours and had a wonderful conversation. You saw and heard his incredibly angelic voice playing music last night. He's doing amazing things in East Timor, and he's going to share Timorese permaculture community with us today. So please put your hands together and welcome this wonderful human. Oh, hang on, no. I jumped the...
Obrigado, Hani Nauren Ego Lemos. Oh, no. My name's Lachlan. I'm going to be helping present today, but I thought we need to welcome Ego. So in Timorese, you would say, Bon dia, maum, which means good morning, brother. Can we all say it? Bon dia, maum. And then you would ask him, diak ka lai, which means good or not. Diak kalai. Diak los. It means he's very good. Okay, thank you. So looking forward to hearing a lot more from Ego. But I think we're going to start with a song.
Traditional owner of this land, to the elder, past, present, and emerging. And we also would like to thank and pay our respect to Bill Mollison and David Holmgren, and all permaculture elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all permaculture movement around Australia and around the globe. So please give a hand to them, please. So I'm going to sing this song. This is the chorus. You can pick up the chorus. And I'm sure that the song will be stuck in your head for forever. So the chorus.
Obrigado, Mal. First, just some brief introductions. My name's Lachlan. I've been privileged and have thoroughly enjoyed and learned so much from working with Ego and the Permatil team from 2001. I first went to Timor. Ended up getting stuck there and living there for 5 years. And I'm still very much connected and visit as regularly as I can and look forward to more action in the future. And Ego has been, well, he's going to tell you more about himself, but yes, he's been basically doing permaculture since '99 and has achieved so much in that time, not just around permaculture, but environment and human rights. He's received a Human Rights Award. He's received the Kyoto Peace Award for the environment. And big news in the last couple of weeks, the President of Timor, Jose Ramos Horta, has asked Ego to be the honorary ambassador for environment and culture. So that's a huge thing for Timor-Leste, for permaculture generally, for Permatil Global, but for, leading a future for culture and environment in Timor, which we know is going to be in good hands and be able to spread and get good things done in Timor-Leste. So let's start off by, asking you what inspired you, first of all, to, with your connection with the environment? What was the beginnings for that for you?
Yeah, thank you. What's first inspired me to involve in permaculture environment? First, I experienced 4.5 years living in the forest during the Indonesian occupation from 1975 to 1979. It's a very hard time. And my experience, I live with my parents, my father, my mother, and my siblings because of the Indonesian occupation with military. So we've been chased out to the mountain. So there is no shelter. We have to just keep moving, under rain, sleeping in the water, and eating whatever available in the forest. So I lost my father. I never seen him since. And then I lost my younger sister because she cannot cope with the food forest, the wild. And also I lost my youngest brother. He cannot because of, after we've been caught 1979, and we've been putting in the concentration camp, and we've been feeding with all the processed food, white rice, cans. So my younger brother could not cope, and he'd also die. So in my family, only me and my mom survived in the family. So, and I was, after I grow up, I was thinking like, man, if without the forest, the nature, I couldn't survive either. So, and I've been, because of the Indonesian military is chasing up all the time, so he could not cook or make a fire during the day. If any smoke, boom, missile or hitting. I saw so many people die during that time because of hunger, because of the, killed by bullet. So you have to eating all raw during daytime. If you want to cook, you have to cook inside the cave, or you have to wait until nighttime, so dark, so you can cook. That's my experience during 4.5 years in the forest. So when I grow up, I think we need to do something, because soon after people started to destroy the nature, destroy the forest, where the forest for me is like a living supermarket where you can get anything there for free. Important is just protected. So that's where I get inspired to get involved in environmental movement in Timor-Leste.
Wow, that's not a not a path that many people have to experience, but I'm glad it's made that connection for you. That's just getting even stronger. So we start from your love with the environment and the forest, and then you moved into starting a guerrilla organic farming movement in your university. So organic farming movement with other students, and then you moved into permaculture. So do you want to just quickly kind of talk about your first introduction to permaculture?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. In 1995, when I joined entering East University, and I study agriculture faculty, and my department is animal husbandry. But because the reason I enter university, one thing is because I want to learn more about agriculture, but then also joining the student movement for independence. I had experience in 1991, probably you heard Santa Cruz Massacre in November 1991. I was there. I almost got killed. So it's makes my, as a young person, want to, keep fighting, for independence. So I joined the university student, and then we start the movement inside the university. So 1996, we start a movement called Organic Agriculture Movement. Even though I was very naive about permaculture or environment, but just because I see so much destruction, or especially the traditional knowledge, traditional wisdom is starting to get lost because of the Indonesian military. The government is pouring the ideas of green revolution into Timor and push the farmers to using chemical fertilizer, using hybrid seeds, and make the farmers more dependent and dependent. So we lost all of our local variety this day. So that's why it makes me we need to do something for it. Otherwise, when we independent, there will be nothing. So I start 1995 very young, but just with spirit that we have to do something. So we start this organic movement back in there. And then 99, after referendum, lucky I met a permaculture friend from Australia. His name Steve Crane. Probably some of you might come across him. He's the person who introduced permaculture to Timor through the aid program. So when I've met him, he's talking about permaculture. Because my English is very tiny, I don't understand it. He's speaking very Australian accent. It's completely out of my dictionary.
Very, very Australian accent.
So, but anyway, he's a lovely guy, and so he explained to me, he showed the practice. We're doing some compost gardening. So at that time, I was working for two organizations. One is women's organization, and the other one is a human rights organization. So I go with Steve to learn with him. Then I said, right, this is what I've been looking for a long time. So now I found. So that's it. I fall in love with permaculture since 99 until today. And I quit all of my job for permaculture.
So we're ready for, okay. So we thought we've got an amazing little 10-minute video, very much thanks to Lynn, Jenkin, and a lot of other people who've helped put it together. But we thought it would be a good way to kind of explain some of the history of Permatil in a different way, and it's helped to show you a bit about what Permatil's doing, and then we'll kind of come back for some more in-depth discussion about some of the projects. So hope you enjoy. sustainably redevelop Timor-Leste's natural environment, working with traditional culture and knowledge. Through access to permaculture knowledge and tools, Permaculture will help vulnerable communities to begin the long process of recovery and rehabilitation. Permaculture began building partnerships and networks across the country with governments, NGOs, schools, communities, farmers and individuals. Long-term partnerships based on community-led plans were a key focus for delivering meaningful impacts. A national farmers network was established to give farmers a voice, to help disseminate important knowledge and to improve marketing and small business opportunities. Permaculture design and practice is drawn from Indigenous knowledge the world over. Permaculture not only include Timorese cultural practices in their work, but use permaculture to strengthen understanding and use of traditional cultural practice in a modern context, including celebrations, ceremonies, and integration of traditional ecological, plant and medicinal knowledge. Passing this knowledge on to the next generations is a growing part of permaculture. In 2008, Permaculture published a permaculture guidebook of Timor-Leste, designed as a training and practical reference guide for organisations, farmers and communities. It was the first comprehensive practical permaculture guide for Timor-Leste and for the tropics. It became known as a gift from Timor-Leste. Starting in 2010, acknowledging Timor-Leste's youthful population demographic and in recognition of the role of young people in ensuring the long-term sustainability of Timor-Leste and our planet, Permaculture focused on youth empowerment initiatives. Perma-Youth was established, bringing together young people to learn about regenerative agriculture, food sovereignty, caring for the environment, water conservation, and working as a team.
It's great to see the way young people are enthusiastically getting together and trying to solve some of the problems of the country, you know, some of which are extremely basic, like improving the quality of the soil in which they plant their seeds and their crops. So much could be done to improve productivity of agriculture in Timor-Leste with very simple methodologies, but the biggest bottleneck is the people. You've got to motivate the people to want to do it. And here we have a large number of young people who have been motivated to want to do this, you know, and to bring about improved rural livelihoods in their own area or their own urban area. And I think that's very exciting.
My name is Zaki Al-Martin. My colleague is Zaki. I am from Permera district. I was learning from Permaculture since 2019 about organic compost and water conservation resource. After learning from Permaculture, I come back to Permera in my hometown. I using what experience that I have learned and I develop my district. Now, I lead Timor-Leste Organic Fertilizer called Tilofe, the young community group that organizes compost production in Permera that share to all territory in Timor-Leste and also organizing water conservation resource in Permera. I have covered around Permera about 30 villages and 50 sub-villages. So all villages we will plan to cover more in next steps. I say thank you to Permaculture for the knowledge, for the experience they share with me, that bring me to change more my life in Tilofe and change more my community in Permera district. Congratulations, Permaculture, and thank you, Mr. Ego.
I think in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, for sure we'll have create a leader who not just good to lead the country, but they're aware of the social issue, the ecological issue, economic issue, social culture issue, and political issue. So that's how we try. So we just try to facilitate whatever we can with some very limited, support. We just do it.
In 2016, in collaboration with Permaculture, Timor-Leste was the first country to incorporate the Permaculture School Gardens program in the national primary school curriculum. Water restoration and conservation projects, starting in 2018, are growing exponentially and also have a strong youth focus.
Então, o programa de Permaculture está em 2019, 20 e 2020, né? A minha programa veio melhor. Então, 21 começa a aumentar. Se mata no bem maconheiro, começa a pôr força como casca, acabou também. Leva anos de área que você falava, a minha problema vai ter. Benefício vai na cruz.
O programa Permaculture conserva verde, a minha está do benefício vai, então, e a comece a comunidade dela comece será de novo, né? Comece a ficar tudo no modo, será de pouco na qualquer saída dele, mas será bem tudo aí lá, comece a benefício melhor.
Our long-term vision for sustainable development centres on opening up access to permaculture on a global scale, especially in majority world tropical countries. In 2014, we commenced work on an international edition of the Tropical Permaculture Guidebook. The revised and expanded edition is a comprehensive permaculture reference guide for tropical regions. Launched in October 2018, the international edition has to date been accessed in 174 countries on a pay-what-you-can basis. Permaculture Global, a new not-for-profit organisation, was established by the producers of the Tropical Permaculture Guidebook so that we can form partnerships and networks with groups around the world. We aim to increase the reach and scope of the guidebook, as well as embark on exciting new projects and be active members of the global permaculture and regenerative movements. Our work is underpinned by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Our long-term vision for sustainable development centres on opening up access to permaculture, equipping people throughout the world with tools and knowledge to improve food security and to live sustainably. It means our solution is truly innovative and grounded in tolerance, sustainability and opportunities for all, no matter wealth, location or status. We're excited by the possibilities of taking permaculture further and wider, shaping a sustainable future for everyone, everywhere.
Glad you got to see a bit of Timor. It's much better than looking at our mugs. But now you get to hear us again. It's worth noting in that video, like the two women at the end who spoke, like they're the same as basically our our mayors in our district. So that's kind of like the level that Permaculture's working at is like, you know, the regional and then the district and then the national levels with these water restoration projects, and they're having a huge impact. So we're going to get on to some of the, a little bit in depth. We know that we're running a little bit behind with the time this morning, but we'll keep it quite fast. But we wanted to look at some of the impacts and what's actually happening now. So we'll start with the water restoration. And Ego, if you want to just briefly talk about like the cultural side to the water restoration projects, because that's the important base where it starts from.
Yeah, thank you. Better stand up. So, about water restoration in Timor-Leste, because Timor is a tropical country, very mountain, so, and during the East Timor is historically has been colony by Portuguese for 450 years, and they took all of the big forests. Especially Timor used to be covered by sandalwood. So they took all of the sandalwood, took all of the log to somewhere, I don't know. And then Portuguese left in 1975. Indonesia arrived with massive military occupation. And they occupied for 24 years. Again, they clear out all of the forests because they're chasing up the guerrilla fighter. So they have to cut down all of the forest, burn all of the forest. So now, after independence, we only have 30% of the forest left and the bare land. So when rains comes, all the topsoil is washed down straight to the ocean and causing a lot of problem. And during dry season, there is no, most of the spring dries out. And it's, you see on the video, community carrying bucket and bucket, searching for water, especially women and kids, and it's very sad to see them. So therefore, Permatil teams, we went to the village where the very remote area, trying to help the community solve their water issue. As you may know, so many international agency, government putting so much money into water sector, but only for water infrastructure only. They put pipe, tank, I'm sorry to say, but then they didn't tend to forget about water source restoration. So in the end, when the spring dries out, all of the system become monument. So that's the failure of development. So Permatil is trying to see the gap between. So we go to the community and find, identify the spring that most of the community use, and we're starting to restore those springs. So first we go talk to the local authority. In Timor, every spring is belong to the traditional clan. So we have to go and talk to the elder and ask the story about the spring. They tell the story about the spring, the rules and so on. And then we go to the upstream area where the spring, above the spring, and talking to the owner of the land, if they can allow us to create catchment management there. So, in the end, everybody comes together, and normally we have to do ritual ceremony to ask the traditional owner or the guardian of the land to give us a blessing to do this kind of work. So, all sorts of process, and then we dug like a retention pond, swells, terraces on the upstream areas. So that technique is the most faster way to restoring the water system. So just one rainy season, that's it. The spring that has been dry for 50 years will come back in 1 or in 2 years' time. And the area is being revisited by itself. And the interesting thing that I discovered is I water buffalo. I've been follow water buffalo for quite long, and because water buffalo, a group of water buffalo, they create a swamp or a reservoir. And that reservoir is, even though it's in the middle of a dry season, never dry. And the area surrounding is green. If the reservoir is located in the mountain area, if you go down, there is a few springs. When the water buffalo move out from that area, or the people kill them, and the swamp is dry, and the area starting to dry again, and the spring all dry. By learning from water buffalo, I said, right, because water buffalo is teaching us about how to create this catchment system. So then I inviting all of my teams, let's do it. Water buffalo is teaching us, why don't we follow them? So we go to the place where water buffalo already create, we make it more bigger. And then we're planting trees that retains water, and mainly native. And then 1-2 years later, all the springs reviving again. So that's so far, we've been working now, we work in over 450 community, and for the past 10 years, we're reviving over 300 springs. Yeah. And also, we're working with the youth. So we're organizing the youth camp. So now it's annual, we're organizing called Permaculture Youth or Perma Youth Camp. So it's starting in 2008, then 2010, 2012, 2015, 2018, and now it's as a national, but then now it's became annual event. And last year we organized 2 regional events, regional camp, and this year we organized 3 regional camp. So every camp, it's more or less about 300 youth coming from all over the place. So what they learn is they have to, one participant only assigned to one thematical training only for the whole rest of the camp. And then our rules is, after they learn all this practical technique, we don't give them training certificate straight away. So we give them homework for 3 months. If they go implement it, we go monitor. If they did it, then we give them training certificate. If they don't, forget it. Yeah. So that's our way. Now attracting thousands of youth joining the youth camp. So hopefully next year we're trying to organize the international one. We don't know how to call it, but we'll let you know. Yeah.
I think maybe if people like the name, we could call it the International Perma Youth Convergence.
Why not? Yeah.
But we hope that a lot of people from here will join. What month are you thinking next year?
Pardon?
What month next year do you
We're
think?
thinking about dry season, end of August. Yeah.
Put that in your diaries.
Yeah. So I would love to hear more from our permaculture elder, what they think. So, and also from the young people, not too young, but you know.
It is open to all ages, and I've been to one of these Perma Youth camps. Emily and I went, and 900 youth from all over Timor, and quite a few Australians and people from other countries, and we had an amazing time. We hardly slept a wink, and we had to perform theatre. We had to jump in the dances and just watch the the action. It was quite amazing.
Yeah, the youth camp is the interesting thing with Perma Youth Camp is everything is practical. When the youth arrive, we do the opening ceremony, and then we brief them for half day. We divide it into small group. We already have site for them to work during the camps, during the camp. So when the camp finishes, you have so many reservoirs, the fish pond, swells, terraces. It's just on that side. And at night we have big stage, all musician, singer-songwriter come and perform whole night. It's like almost like a youth festival. So anyway, now we're going to school garden. So I was 2013. I saw there is advertisement from Ministry of Education looking for a national and international people who can help reform the national curriculum. So when I look at that, I said, I must apply. I have to go in. So I apply. I apply for it, and then I got the job as a national advisor from Ministry of Education. So with the love, thank you. We had a team. So my my mission is, I have to bring permaculture into the national curriculum. That's my mission. So then I went there, had a team, and then they asked me to lead a discipline of art and culture. So I said, right, I'm ready. So we are 10 of people, including teachers. So we reform the curriculum, art and culture, and we include permaculture, school gardening, called permaculture gardening in school, in the national curriculum. And we introduced also traditional cuisine into the national curriculum. And now, it's 2015 has been approved by the law, and Ministry of Education established Department of School Gardening until now, still up and running until now. So now school gardening using permaculture is a compulsory subject throughout the whole country. So the purpose of the school gardening is not about forcing the kids to grow the food as much as they can, but the purpose of the school gardening as a living laboratory or a living book to help the teacher shifting from passive learning inside classroom into an active learning outside classroom. So they can teach any science using school gardening. But when the impact is when they go home, the school garden can help them establish their home garden or nutritious home garden. So that's the purpose, and so far we established 254 school garden across the country. And sadly because of COVID, 2 years whole school stopped, but all the school garden stopped. So now it started up and running again. But the good thing is the school garden at school stopped, but at home still up and running. Yeah, so I think that's it.
Yeah, it's good because we're having to go through quite quickly. So I think one of the things is that it's really interesting that often there's community, sometimes a bit scared about it, and they're like, oh, we're not sure, why do the kids have to learn gardening, or why do we do this? But it's always being able to show the results and being able to, for the community can see the fruits by being active in it. I think that's an amazing thing that Permatil's been able to do. We've still got a bit more to go. So anyway, we're scaling up from local to global. So I can explain it. Cool. Well, I've been, lucky enough, and with Lynn as well, to be part of the Permatil journey, sitting in the passenger seat, shall we say. But it's been great to be able to to work with Permatil, to be able to help the work over there. But then once we decided that the guidebook that was produced for Timor-Leste was being used overseas, but it was very much applicable for Timor. So we decided to make a new international edition. And so it basically turned from 1 volume into 3 once we once we'd upgraded it and added, so there's more than 2,000 illustrations in there, and partly that's because we wanted to explain everything through image, which is, everyone learns through images as much as they do through writing, and even more so. And do you want to very quickly explain that process a little bit more?
Yeah, this book is not only done by us, but also involving so many artists, the drawing. So me and Lockley, we have to do workshop for the artists before they draw in the illustration for the book. So we're very thankful for Timorese artists that contribute to this beautiful book. And so now we're looking, because the water restoration is not in the book yet, so now we're looking into the 4th volume, focus on water restoration.
Great. Oh, Ego just gave you a little heads up of one of our future projects. So yes, we are looking to do that. Funnily enough, it started off, we thought we'd do a little 60 to 80 page guidebook, and it's turned into something a lot bigger than that.
Importantly, as we said in the video, this is actually available online in PDF form, pay what you can, because most of the people who want to access it don't have any money. So we want to make it open for all of those people, and one of our next steps is to get it into language, because that's the next key barrier to get through, is to make it available in the languages that people speak and use.
Yeah,
So
because we believe on permaculture ethic, fair share. That's why we share. Yeah.
So it's in... Thank you. It's in English and Tetum, the Timorese national language, and we're going to be... That's part of the next steps. So, Permatil... we'll look at this first. We also want to talk a little bit about Permatil Global, which we realised was... we worked out that which one was first, the chicken or the egg. Still not sure, but we basically, the people who brought the guidebook together then created this organisation, Permatil Global, which is an Australian-based charity. So Lynn, Ego and myself with Permatil team in Timor, and Emily and others around Australia, and hopefully then internationally, are going to be working to expand the work that we're doing, both educational resources, expand the work in Timor, take that work and then create new educational resources based on the success and based on what's needed on the ground, be it farmers' guides, short videos, kids' books, Volume 4, which is coming up soon. Not sure how long, but we'll get there. Yeah. Based around explaining in book how the water restoration catchment management works so that other people can duplicate it. And then, do you want to talk a little bit, sorry, we're able to go back, so the national training model, very quickly, Ego.
Yeah, what with traditional national training model is actually Permatil. What our ideas is, we not establish the permaculture training center, but we encourage the community, the youth group in all region to establish the training center. So every campsite that we did a camp, actually they have preparing the camp at least 1 year before the camp, or sometime over 2 years. Why? Because we want the participant come, they see the example already in place, so that we can use all of that example, and then they do practical activities more. After the camp, then the site become a training center for that region. So that's our ideas. Instead of us going and establish one training center, which will be not representing all the climate, microclimate in Timor. So it's better to support the local community establishing a permaculture training center. Yeah. And again, because of the time limit, probably we cannot explain about Timor more, but we encourage you to visit Timor, visit permaculture in Timor. You learn with us, and we can share more about what we've been doing in Timor. Yeah.
So we've still got a little bit of time, but all these...
I just want to sing locally.
I know. But I know you want to sing. In the morning, we get up and Ego just wants to sing. So we do have time for a few questions very quickly, but to go back very briefly, so Permatil are working with all of these, like, you know, it's basically from showing the success of the work on the ground. Initially, the government in Timor and a lot of the international bigger organisations were quite like sceptical or just didn't want anything to do with Permatil. Permatil was quite much of an agitator as well about local farmers' rights, food sovereignty, and retaining the culture and the knowledge and building on that rather than bringing in new stuff. But through the success, now all of these organisations and the government are right on board and working with Permatil. Permatil are working with them to move forward. And this is what it's all adding up to, the generational change.
Yeah, because Timor, 70% of the total population is under 30. So Timor-Leste is the youngest nation. So therefore, Permatil is trying to focus more activities on the youth. That's why we're trying to, like a permaculture youth is in Timor is a massive movement. And also water restoration. If you come to Timor, you keep hearing water conservation movement. It's almost in every place around Timor. What they do is they restore their own water system. So as Loki says, because of these activities, it's taking up the whole country. So therefore, government, international agency, they cannot hiding. They have to, acknowledge what we've been doing. Because every time they go to community say, Permatil is helping us doing this, doing this. In the end, now everybody, the government putting into state budget, and the president just invite me, ask me if I could be the goodwill ambassador for environment and culture. So all of the hard-working result for over 20 years. Yeah.
I think maybe we've got a couple of minutes if anyone's got any quick questions to ask Ego. Anne-Marie.
Maybe I could repeat the question I had to you about in all of the network connections that are now happening to take this work further. I had the cautious question about how are the reconnections with the nearby communities and the great nation of Indonesia happening?
Thank you, David. Right now, what we've been trying is to support the neighboring countries, especially West Timor, because Timor is the island is dividing by Portuguese and Dutch a long time ago. So it's the similar culture. We almost half of them speak same language. So we're trying, because there's same climate, so we try to support the neighboring country, our western part. And also for the Perma Youth event, international Perma Youth, already requests coming from Japan, coming from France, coming from Indonesia. I don't hear about Australia yet. So hopefully, yeah, that's why we try to support each other. I was chatting with David last night. It would be good if we want the permaculture to be global, so let's support those countries, small countries like island nation, so that because they're the more affected by the climate change. If we can all support them to be resilient, I think permaculture movement will be very important in this planet. Thank you.
Hi, thanks for that, impressive. There's a lot of other development work happening in East Timor, so I'm interested in how what you're doing is integrating with or running completely separate from development work in like energy and water and other stuff that's happening there.
Thank you. As I, in the last slide, because this not only permaculture, but it's embedded like a influence, for instance, Minister of Public Work. Minister of Public Work, because they're doing road building and a lot of erosion, landslide. So now they're using permaculture approach, like create terraces and then also creating retention basin further up in the mountains so that to reduce erosion to the road. So that's one of the ideas. But also, Minister of Public Administration also adopted that idea into rural development. So, and especially Minister of Youth and Sport also adopting this youth camp, part of the national strategy to train all the youth. And also in regard to other energy, we're trying to, recommend to the government to use more renewable energy as much as we can. We're never there yet, but we're trying to solve all the basic need first. Yeah.
Can you share about the succession pattern or the progression of building in your team, trainers, upskilling them? You know, you're the main face, but who's behind you? A mass of people. How do they come to be there?
Yeah, thank you, Rubina. It'll take a long time to explain it all. But yeah, that's right. So there is, apart from us, we have about 25 staff, and then we have over 50 volunteers across the country. They are trained volunteers. They're ready to deploy anywhere for school garden, for water restoration, for organizing the youth camp. And now we have so many, as the one youth from one region is speaking on the video, he's leading the whole district for all these camps. So what we try is to, have, leaders, youth leadership all over the region to lead permaculture activities. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Thank you so much. Okay.
This is a question for Lockie. Lockie, what song do you think Ego wants to sing?
I think Loki will sing.
The question isn't singular, it's plural.
So, I would like to invite Charlie on board. Sing with us.